Deni Avdija is one of the top prospects coming into this year's NBA draft, but unfortunately, like most foreign prospects, we don't know a lot about him or his game. So in today's video, we'll talk about Deni Avdija and how good he is. Let's get right into it. Deni is from Israel. He plays for an Israeli basketball team in Tel Aviv, which is a part of the EuroLeague, and they're actually one of the top teams in the EuroLeague this season. However, unfortunately, like most players who play for the EuroLeague at a young age, he doesn't get a ton of playing time, and when he does, the EuroLeague style is obviously a lot different from the NBA, so he's not getting a ton of shots. So if you look him up, you can find some nice highlights, but like I said, he just hasn't played a ton of minutes in the EuroLeague. However, he is only 19. He just barely turned 19 in January, so he will be one of the youngest players in the draft. And I think that this is why his potential is so scary, because when you do look up his highlights at only 19 years old, he should not be doing some of the things that he is doing. In my opinion, Avdija has very, very scary potential on the offensive end. He's a good shooter, he's a good passer, and he's also a good attacker as well. He has an inside-out game. He can kind of do it all on the offensive end. And for his size, he is also a very good ball handler. He's a 6'9" small forward / power forward, so he's kind of a combo forward, if that's a term. He can play both positions. When he's on the wing at the small forward position, like I said, he's a very good shooter. But when they need him to play power forward, he can post up, he can bang inside, and he's also a very good passer, especially out of the post. He kind of reminds me of a Nikola Jokic type of passer when he is in the post. So, like I said, his offensive potential is very, very scary. His defense isn't anything to, get way excited about, but he's definitely not a bad defender like some other guys that come out of the EuroLeague, some other guys that come from Europe who aren't as athletic. He has the length, he has the size to be a good defender, so I don't think that that will be a huge issue for him. I mentioned this before, but one thing that impresses me probably the most about Deni Avdija is his all-around game. He can do a little bit of everything, especially on the offensive end. Like I mentioned, he can pass, he can dribble, he can shoot the three ball, he can shoot the mid-range, he can post up, and he can also play a little bit of defense as well. I think that this is why ultimately any team who drafts him can find a use for him. I don't think he's a guy who has to fill a certain position or a certain role. He can do a little bit of everything, and I think that he could even be the star if he needs to be. Like I said, this guy just excites me because of his arsenal of weapons that he has and all of the things that he is able to do. At his size of 6'9", 220 pounds, I think that he could be a huge mismatch problem for guards because he is too big. I think that he could take them in the post easily. And if he's got bigger guys, forwards on him, power forward centers, I think that he is too skilled for them to guard him. So I think that as he develops a little bit more, if he can get stronger, if he can get a little bit quicker, he could definitely become a huge mismatch issue for opposing defenders. Having said all this, while I do think he is very impressive and I think that he has a lot of potential, I do think that Deni Avdija might need a couple of years to develop before he is ready to really take on a bigger role for an NBA team. And this might sound kind of, contradictory to what I've said before about him being great, an all-around player, can fill any role type of guy. But like I also mentioned before, he is not getting a ton of minutes in the EuroLeague, and he doesn't have a huge role in the EuroLeague. Also, he just turned 19. He is still a teenager. So I think that even though I am a very big fan of his skill set, of the potential that he has, of the style of play that he runs, I do think that it might take some time for him to get used to the NBA and for him to take on an expanded role. So for that reason, I just hope that he gets onto a team who's willing to develop him, who's willing to be patient with him, and doesn't expect a lot out of him in the beginning of his career. I don't usually like making comparisons of prospects to NBA players because every player is a little bit different, but if I did have to compare Deni Avdija to one current NBA player, it would definitely be Danilo Gallinari. Danilo Gallinari is a guy who's more built like a power forward but plays the small forward position, and Deni Avdija is kind of the same type of guy, oversized for the wing position but has the skill set of a wing player, One area that I do think that Deni Avdija could maybe have an advantage of Danilo Gallinari in is passing. I think that his vision has potential to be elite. Like I said before, when he is in the post, he reminds me a lot of Nikola Jokic. I think that Deni Avdija is a capable post scorer, so this opens up a lot of passing lanes for him. And Danilo Gallinari may not seem like the type of guy who's like a superstar. Like I've been saying, Deni Avdija is going to become this great player. But Danilo Gallinari is no scrub. Danilo Gallinari is very impressive on the offensive end, and I think that he's a very good scorer. So I think that comparing Deni Avdija to Danilo Gallinari, but maybe with even better passing, is a very big compliment. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Make sure to leave your thoughts on Deni Avdija and where you think he will go in the draft. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.